Logan, that's fantastic. Claude, give him a raise. That's awesome. Well, I'll take my time now. Kinda hot. Okay, well, we got it in. It was a pretty good day, actually. Little breezy, but not too bad. Thought the tempo was very good. Our scouts are trying to simulate some fast tempo offense the best they can. Can't get it quite as good as Ole Miss, I'm sure, but we at least moved around, got lined up quickly, and hopefully it'll help our defense on Saturday to get their calls and get lined up and be ready to play football. But overall, I thought it was a good practice. So I'll answer your questions.
Did the way they do their up tempo remind you of anybody recently that you've played?
Well, Missouri was very fast. You know, I don't know if you go a whole lot faster than Missouri went, but Missouri is a very high tempo offensive football team too.
Didn't see John Jenkins out there.
Right, he had a ankle sprain that we think he'll be fine, but we didn't want to put him out there today. We think he'll be ready.
Did he get that in practice yesterday, or was it from the game, left over from the game?
I don't remember.
I think it was practice yesterday.
Might have been practice, yeah.
It's been interesting to see how quickly that they've been able to become a productive offense. I mean, it was last season was really awful for them, and
Right.
he's come in and really. I mean, I think that's one of the undertold stories of the season.
Oh yeah, they're very good. I was trying to say it in my press conference. I don't know if I said it well, but I guess their yards, passing yards, rushing yards, points, just about every offensive category. After 8 games, they've exceeded anything they did last year for 12 games. So it has been impressive. And just watching Bo Collins, he's a polished kid. I mean, he seems like he's very much in command of what they're trying to accomplish, and he's a very accurate passer. I was watching him on some of the QB run. He's a good athlete. He's not going to try to run anybody over or anything like that, but you have to account for him in the run game. So you know they're doing a good job, and when you add the tempo to it, they're averaging about 72, 73 plays a game. But I mean, I think in the future they'll probably shoot for 75 or 80 plays a game. That's what coach wants.
Mark, you guys haven't had a home game for a while. Does that mean you're going to have a big recruiting weekend this weekend?
Yeah, I would think a lot of kids will be coming. We'll have a recruiting meeting tomorrow after our staff meeting to just try to get a gauge of how many kids. I've already said they're coming and how many we think might come and all that kind of thing. But I would think it'd be a pretty good one. But I think it's a testing week, either SAT or ACT. I'm not sure which one. So historically, that's kind of slowed it down a little bit with some guys got to take tests, and there's some seniors that still have to take it to qualify. But there's a time where a lot of juniors take their first test. So I don't know how much that will affect us.
Coach, Jamie Lindley handled the kickoffs last week. Is that something you kind of like to see going forward? Him continue to do that while Marshall handles the.
Well, part of the reason why he was doing every kick was the onside attempt that we had prepared, and unfortunately, we're just a fraction offsides again. And but a beautiful kick, you hate to waste a kick like that. It was just perfect. But he has been kicking off pretty well as well, pretty good. And but Marshall's had a little more predictable hang times and predictable. Where the ball is going to land, so I don't think Marshall's done with that yet. But Jamie's certainly done a good job.
Are you okay with your guys taking the ball out of the end zone as much as they seem to do?
No.
Is that something you've talked about? Is it?
Yeah, I don't want them to come out. Well, here's the thing: if if you're not sure, then you gotta come out.
Meaning if you're not sure.
If you're
whether-
not sure whether you're in or out,
Yeah.
because you can maybe lose your way just a little bit. If you're up back or you're a blocker, you know, if he comes back there and says don't come out, he shouldn't come out, because he's using good judgment and he's not blocking for you anymore either, so it just doesn't make any sense. But I guess the best answer is, what was the question again? Do I like it?
Well, I mean, is it something that you've talked about trying to reduce that?
Yeah, if we're in there, I'd like to just take the 25-yard line. I'd be very happy with that. There are some circumstances where if it's just a low line driver, there's no hang time. Maybe, and that's where there's a little bit of gray area sometimes.
On that, Gurley hasn't been back there since earlier in the season, and he had that kickoff touchdown. Is he didn't look back there maybe at all?
He's still our number 2 guy right now, and but Malcolm hits it up in there pretty good. He's got good speed and good burst, and he's pretty brave, you know. So I think he does a good job there too.
What's the rule? Speaking of the onside kick with Lumen, what's the rule in that? You were just talking about being a fraction offside. Is it any part of your body past the
They
line?
say that they call it a pane of glass. So if this is that line,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like if you get a pane of glass just straight up, if any part of that body at all is fractionally past the line, they
Yeah.
call it off.
Because when I went back and watched it, nobody stepped across it,
No.
but somebody's head looked like it could
Yeah,
have just
it was
been across.
barely.
Yeah, interesting.
But and quite frankly, he was not in position to get the ball anyway. There's no reason for him to be that close. So
How deep into the playbook do you bury that play now, or is it going to come back that play?
I doubt we use it this week. And really, it has a lot to do with how people line up defensively too. They're lined up a certain way. Matter of fact, we called it earlier in the game and didn't use it because they were lined up differently. And then, for whatever reason, they lined up the way we thought they might, and then so we went for it. I mean, the good news was we executed it well enough to where we got to kick it again. We did recover it. They had to take the penalty, which allowed us to kick it again and not give them that great field position. So there was something positive that came out of it.
If Merritt Hall can't go, do you go again with Xander, you think?
Oh yeah, Xander played very well. Xander would definitely start at fullback if Merritt can't go, and I think Merritt's pretty unlikely right now. Quavon practiced today, so I think he'll be okay.
Have you seen Rambo get a lot more comfortable last few games after his return?
Yeah, I think so. I see him even in practice. He's making more plays. I see the whole defensive backfield just breaking on balls better, trying to make the pick. You know, one time Brandon Smith went for a pick and it cost us a little bit on. I don't know if you remember the one. There's one on the sideline, on Florida's sideline. That, you know, he went for it, and you know, if you're going to go for it, make it. If you don't, you'd be there to make the tackle and make them punt. But we're getting a little bit. I've seen us get a little bit more aggressive, trying to make a play, make a pick. Rambo certainly is one of them.
And he was a guy that was, you know, developed that reputation last year as a ball hawk.
Mhm.
It seemed like he might have been a little bit eager. He was coming back to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'd say most picks that safeties get have a lot to do with the pressure that's put on the quarterback, you know, forcing some bad throws. Every once in a while, a guy will just make a great play, or like in the end zone. I thought that was pretty good play of him just holding off the space that he's responsible for, but knowing that the quarterback was. The more he began to scramble, the more the shorter the field got, and he just did a good job of breaking on the quarterback and making that pick. I don't know how smart it was to take it out, but it was good play.
Is it possible for Jarvis to have some kind of impact against the offense like this as he did this past week?
Well, I would hope so, because you know Jarvis he's not a one-dimensional just pass rush guy. He's doing a great job stopping the run. He's doing a great job in coverage when we put him there. He's doing a great job of rushing the passer, and he's just very mindful of where, I guess, as he's approaching the quarterback, he wants more than the sack. He wants the ball out. He just has a presence to strip it and to rake it out of there. And even on that the last play of the game that our defense played, where he was pursuing from behind. I mean, he had his eyes on that ball, and he ripped it out of there instead of just going and tackle the guy. I think he was very conscious of where the ball was and wanted to get it out.
Mark, you've had some productive linebackers in your previous defensive scheme with like Rennie and Odell Foreman, I guess. Is Alec Ogletree at about like that level now, or how does he come back from the suspension, you think?
He's making a lot of tackles. I think that he makes a lot of plays laterally, if that makes sense. And those other guys are a little bit more downhill guys. But because he's so athletic, he's in on a lot of tackles because he's fast and he hustles. And I thought this game against Florida was his best game by far. Of playing downhill and facing the issue like a good middle linebacker does.
Coach, how would you grade Colin Barber's performance so far this year? Is he getting enough just to get the job done?
I'm glad he's doing about what we asked him to do. We want the ball caught. We want the ball out with a good operation time, because if you take too long, you can get it blocked. We've been asking him to kick it high and not worry too much about kicking it far. There's been very few kicks that have been returned. I know Ace Sanders had the one, but for the most part, we're getting a lot of fair catches. We're not getting 55-yard bombs, and he's capable of that. I think when he really settles in and after this year getting it under his belt, maybe he'll finish with some of those. But I thought when he kicked it, when we were deep in our territory, and he kicked that 48-yard against Florida with about a 4.8 hang time, that was pretty good. We got a fair catch out of it. We moved the ball 48 yards, and then his very next kick, I think we punted it inside the 10. And I thought those were the two best kicks of his career of the year. And I think that I'm hoping that a game like that could give him some confidence.
Is Jordan Jenkins pretty much taking over that other starting outside backer spot opposite Jarvis?
Well, we still there's still some in base, yes. Yes. And then, but when we get into some of our nickel looks, we still like Cornelius, Jarvis, and Jordan playing some of the edge stuff. So those three will kind of roll. But he's doing well. He's been a good freshman.